Hello, friends. Chris Corsi here, president of Thrive Today, and I want to welcome you to the Relational Skills in Real Life podcast. Friends, this podcast is meant to be a fun little way to spread stories and testimonies about using relational skills. And today's topic is a very popular topic, which really addresses the questions that people have about how do they get to Thrive Premier training. What are some frequently asked questions that people have? How do they get there? What do they need if they already know some of the skills? What about the funding for the training, finding partners? Friends, we're going to really tackle these common questions, and I hope that this sheds some insight into how people make it to thrive. And friends, there's countless testimonies from people who heard about Thrive. They started doing book studies or they started interacting with one of our partner ministries to start practicing relational skills. They start growing the good stuff and then they'll reach out and say, look, I'm already learning these skills. Why should I come to Thrive? It's 5 days of training. This is a big deal. What if I can't afford it? Well, friends, the good news here is we start where we're at. Your skill journey starts today, right? It starts with you learning about these skills. That's why we have all these great books and resources and videos and webinars so that you can find out about relational skills, find out about Thrive, find out about what's involved in learning these relational skills and spreading these skills into our families and our communities. And so many of our friends are already actively involved with our partner ministries or with our ministry to some degree. They're already learning about these resources and practicing these skills. And they say, why do I need a 5 day training? Like, what's it going to do when I've already been practicing these skills? And the good news is this is good. You've already started and you're practicing the skills right where you're at. So this is what we like to hear. The good stuff's getting out there. Now, there are some things that happen through a 5 day intensive training that just really don't happen any other way because these trainings are opportunities to acquire relational skills and learn to propagate relational skills. That's right. So when Jim and I started working on creating Thrive, there were really two goals. How can we create an environment, an ideal environment where people can practice relational skills? But then how do we teach them to not only learn and grow the skills in their own lives, but how do they learn to spread the skills? Because these are two different steps. I can learn about returning to joy and I can practice returning to joy anytime I'm upset. But it's hard to transfer that skill when I'm with someone else who's upset. Maybe they're even upset with me. And how well can I help them return to joy? Right? So, as you can see, this is a completely different skill. The good news is if you've been practicing returning to joy, it's going to help you as you learn to help others return to joy. But this is very specific training where we need acquisition and propagation. And so at Thrive Training, we're very purposeful about instilling practices through exercises and interactions where you start learning how to get really good at spreading relational skills into your family, with coworkers, into your church, your any place, any part of your network where you interact with people is an opportunity to spread relational skills, even in the difficult circumstances where someone's upset with you. And I can still remember one of the webinars we did with Dr. Jim Wilder about the history of Thrive and why people need Thrive to take their skill training to a new level. And Jim made some really good points in this webinar that if we want to train other people to be more successful at learning relational skills, we need a lot of really hard focused practice and training in a setting where we have people who are downstream from us. These are people with less maturity and less skill experience. We need peers who are about the same level that we practice with, and we need people who are upstream, who have more experience and skills than we do, and they give life as we receive life. So the neat thing about the different training tracks at Thrive is through the three interactive tracks, you spend a lot of time with people who are at different levels of experience. So if you're in track one, for example, you interact with people who are in track two and track three. They've been on this road for a while. When you're in track two, you spend time receiving from track three, but you also spend time downloading your skills to track one. And so it's this interactive exchange of skills and resources that really bring out the best in you and instill some of these skills so that you can spread the good stuff. And Jim talked about how Thrive is like a sports camp where you take your skills to another level. And so it's good that you're already practicing the basics for relational skills, but you need a sports camp to specialize and to refine and fine tune your relational skills. And this is where the in-person Thrive trainings really come into play. And learning relational skills works online, for example, through online events or Zoom meetings, because you can learn the theory, you can tell stories, and you can interact with people, but your brain requires in-person, face-to-face interactions in live time to change certain patterns in the brain. So while we and our friends do online events and interactions, ultimately your brain needs face-to-face training. And that's where Thrive can be really helpful, where you're sitting across from people, you're watching how they react, you're seeing the emotion in live time, and your brain's right hemisphere is doing back and forth interaction at 6 cycles per second. And online formats just can't relate or can't compete with that. It's the technology is too slow. So there's a lot we can do online, thankfully, but there's a lot of limitations to our online interactions. We need in-person, face-to-face practice so that we get really good at strengthening our skills and learn to download our skills. And so Thrive really has a clear methodology to the training sequence that you just can't receive outside of it. Every minute of the training is designed with two goals: for you to learn and strengthen skills, and you learn and strengthen your ability to spread relational skills. This is very important for your journey. And so, in our years of training at Thrive Experiences and Events, we've had people who wanted to spread the skills in their own lives. Maybe they were doing some skill training on their own, but they petered out. They stopped the training progression. They just lost their motivation or their support because they didn't have that support system in place to keep practicing. So basically, our relational muscles atrophy if we don't keep practicing. So Thrive provides the in-person practice to strengthen these muscles so that you'll use them, but also there's follow-up resources after each track where you can continue to practice and keep that support system in place where you're connecting with people and updating as you're practicing your skills at home. And so this is where the face-to-face interactions are really helpful for people. Information trains your left hemisphere to know and understand what you're doing. Your cognitive engine likes information and teaching, but ultimately your relational fast track brain needs the in-person interaction to really take your skills to another level. I think of my friends Unsil and Elijah. They spent years reading books. They even attended some classes. I even had interactions with them in classroom settings. They were trying their best between them and their community to learn and grow relational skills. It took years before they could make it to Thrive. But when they made it to Thrive, Elijah told me the profound week that he had in person, training, interacting, practicing exercises with people. This changed their lives. And he felt the difference of, yeah, I thought I was doing pretty good when I was on my own, but boy, doing the in person training just changed everything and it touched everything. And so this in-person training is what their brain needed. Now they went home and now they're still practicing and trying to apply what they've learned. But they're going to keep their in-person training sequence going. They're going to keep their skill growth going as they're able to take their skills to another level. Now, another obstacle for my friends was raising the funds to make it to Thrive. They lacked the funds to fly to the training, spend the 5 days, and just be able to cover the costs. So there's a few things that they did that I want to talk about because a lot of people ask us, "Hey, I want to come to Thrive. I feel called to come to Thrive, but I don't have the funds. The funds are a big obstacle for me. What do I do when I feel called to attend the training, but I don't have the funds?" Well, friends, we have a few pieces of wisdom on that as well. First and foremost is we ask people to pray for us. So you can email us at Thrive Today. We'll add you to our prayer sheet that our whole team and our board prays for regularly. Let us know that we can be praying with you. And they also, my friends also asked their community to be praying for them. They shared their heart and their vision to make it to the training. They felt like God was nudging them to come to Thrive at a specific time, but they needed God to part the Red Sea for them so that they could raise the support and get to a training. So, inviting our friends, our family members, our community to partner with us, to pray for us. And if some feel led to even help support us to be able to get there, because supporting people to come to Thrive is a blessing for the community, because the people who come and get the training, they return and then they can start spreading what they learned. So it's a gift for the community to support someone to make it to the training. And I've had friends that also do garage sales or have a gathering where they sell baked goods to try to gain support and let people know what their needs are so that they can move it. You know what? It's a blessing for people to be able to send someone to Thrive. It's an investment in the community and the well-being and the health of a community. And we've also had another challenge that people have come to us with, which is, hey, I don't have a partner. You know, tracks 1, 2, and 3 require a bonded partner. What do I do if I don't have a partner? Well, friends, this is why we created the Flex Track, what we call the True Identity Track, where you can attend without a partner. You come to Thrive, you attend the True Identity Track, where you work in threes, you work in groups. And you know what? This is a chance to jumpstart your skills and to strengthen your skills, but it's also an opportunity to also meet some like-minded friends that may want to join you on track one. We've had a number of people who've come to the Flex Track without a partner. They just needed the training. They met a friend during the week, similar mind and values, and they said, "Hey, maybe we should pray about doing track one together." And I think of my friend Kim, who wanted to come to Thrive for years, but she just didn't have the funds or the support to make it to Thrive. So she started asking her community and her family to support her, to pray for her, to stand with her so that she could make it to Thrive one day. And you know what? The community came around her just like they did with Elijah and Unsil. Just like them, Kim found a community who was willing to back her and support her so that she could attend the training. And you know what? She came back from the training deeply changed, and she started sharing her joy. She started sharing what she was learning. She started leading some book studies and small groups to start training exercises so that others could learn these skills. That is good news, my friends. And you know what? There's hope no matter where you are and what your challenges may be to getting to Thrive. Let us stand with you and pray with you. Let us know what your needs are. Tell us. You can contact us at our website, thrivetoday.org, and let us be praying for you. And let's seek the Lord on how He may be able to part the Red Sea and get you to the training one day, as well as just inviting your community to pray for you. So, friends, learn more about Thrive and the history of Thrive and our History of Thrive webinar, our Thrive Premier Training webinar. There's a whole lot of good stuff on our website, as well as just learning about Thrive at our website, thrivetoday.org. We have lots of good webinars, lots of material and information to help you better understand what Thrive is and even be able to explain it to other people that might be able to support you in some way. Friends, I pray this is the start of something good for you.